Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I'm going to call this program, Some of the People Will Start Fighting Against the Government. You remember that the angel Gabriel spoke to Dumitru Duduman and said the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists. Now here it is. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries will attack. The Russians will bombard the nuclear missiles in America, and America will burn. But today, we're going to be talking about some of the people will start fighting against the government. Now, you remember, God told me not before last, rebuked me rather hard, said, don't fear. And I think he wants me to continue to warn you, don't fear, because if we get in fear, that is an insult to him. That is saying that God cannot provide and protect us in the day of trouble. So he does not like us getting in fear. So do not get in fear. Do not let, I have a hard time battling with it too. I mean, obviously with what I've been doing for 32 years, trying to warn America that this is coming, but we can't get in fear. So just don't let yourself fear. Every time fear wants to raise its head, you just plead the blood of Jesus. And you just know that God is going to provide and God is going to protect, okay? So, and you're going to need to hang on to that in the days that are coming in. Matter of fact, even in this broadcast. So let's get into it. I got about probably 6 emails sending me to this guy, and it's about a 30-minute video, and about 60 seconds of it is all I'm going to read. Charles Turner, June 30, 2020. This is my summarized version of what he said. He said, I had a dream and I saw people robbing each other, breaking into each other's homes, people stealing things from cars on the street. People were stealing food, taking things from each other by force and willing to die for it. I said, what's going on? From above me, I heard a voice say, bloodshed. I was shown more people shooting at each other, everyone carrying guns in the street. Let me say that again. Everyone carrying guns in the street. So everyone, are we going to get to a point where it's like the old Wild West here, where everyone in America is carrying a gun to be safe? Well, that's what the Lord told Pastor Massey, recall. Okay, anyway, everyone was carrying guns in the street. There were no police anywhere to police this issue or to bring order. It was complete chaos. I mean, did you ever think in your lifetime that the police would stand down, that the police would be defunded and told to just go away, and the people would have it so? Crazy. Well, I'm telling you that we are in the days leading up to the fall of our nation. I believe that we are in the process of falling. Babylon is fallen, has become the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. I remember when I first heard that back in 1988, I thought, how can internal revolution in America, really? I mean, it was just hard for me to see. Now, turn on your news, go to the internet, talk to people on the street. It's everywhere. Let's go to the next article. This headline says, U.S. authorities uncover massive nationwide weapons trafficking ring run by Communist China to arm Black Lives Matter terrorists with powerful weapons of war, dated July 15th, comes to us from naturalnews.com. It goes on to say, on July the 3rd this year, Natural News reported the Communist China was trafficking full auto weapons parts into Florida as a way to arm Black Lives Matter terrorists in advance of a planned armed uprising. Revolution. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, had interdicted and seized a shipment over 10,000 full auto upgrade parts that convert semi-auto rifles into full auto weapons of war. Okay, did you catch that? So they have confiscated 10,000 full auto upgrade parts that convert semi-auto rifles into full auto weapons of war. Now remember, the prophecy said some of the people will start fighting against the government. Does that sound like some people are getting prepared to fight against the government? According to CBP announcement from June 26th, the shipment originated from Shenzhen, China, and was destined for a residence in Melbourne, Florida. Inside the shipment was over 10,000 small machine parts that function as full auto drop-in upgrades for AR-15s. Natural News was able to determine that this operation was part of an attempt by Communist China to destabilize the United States by arming Antifa and Black Lives Matter terrorists. This should be speaking to us. This should be speaking to us real heavy. Now, I also need to make a clarification. I've said that Revelation 13:10 says that we are not to fight against those people coming after us. But I try to make it very clear, and I will clarify it again, this is only in the tribulation. This is only when those people have the mark of the beast and they are coming after us because we do not have the mark of the beast. In other words, someone coming after you and you don't have the mark and they don't have the mark, that does not apply. That's specifically Revelation 13 is talking about a time when the tribulation has started, when the beast is in place, and he has sent his people out to kill the people that do not have the mark of the beast. Then, and only then, we are commanded not to kill them. It says, "And he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." So I'm not saying that you should never protect yourself. I'm not saying to hurt people either. I want to make that plain either. I mean, we here are soul winners. We don't want to take life. We want to save life. But on the other hand, we don't want to be killed either. So I'll leave it there. Anyway, back to the article. Now, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials have seized an operation in Detroit that smuggles suppressors or silencers into the United States from China, also for the purpose of arming Black Lives Matter militant extremists, as reported by the National Pulse. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials in Detroit's Homeland Security Investigations team took over the China-operated domain, it gives the domain here, as part of an international arms trafficking investigation. The team determined that more than 350 suppressors seized by law enforcement across the country were purchased from this website and smuggled into the United States from China as automotive parts. The entire website was reportedly operated by China, and its purpose was to arm Black Lives Matter terrorists who are working with communist Marxist forces in the United States to overthrow the government. Overthrow the government? Would that be an internal revolution? I think so. To overthrow the government and nullify the Constitution. July 13th announcement also casts a report from the Wall Street Journal noting the appearance of illegal firearms and accessories appearing around Black Lives Matter protests across the country in a curious and perhaps foreign light. The article documents the sharp increase in the number of guns being carried into the protest by Black Lives Matter extremists. The National Pulse also documents how 11,000 assault weapons parts have recently been caught during an attempt to smuggle them into Louisville, Kentucky. The origin of the parts? Shenzhen, China. China weapons smuggling now confirmed in 3 cities, with more to be uncovered. Then I skip several paragraphs. It goes on to say, when the Civil War begins. Okay, they call it a civil war, but we know it's an internal revolution. I think there's a difference. And let me explain that difference. Civil War was when the North didn't like the South and they had a disagreement. They weren't trying to destroy the country. They weren't trying to take it over. But an internal revolution is an attempt to take over the country, to destroy the former country, the former leadership, and bring in new leadership. That's an internal revolution. Let's go on, though. He says, when the Civil War begins, patriots will be facing extremely well-armed Black Lives Matter militant extremists. The upshot of this is that once the Civil War uprising is activated by Black Lives Matter, which will likely happen by November at the latest, armed citizens who typically only own semi-auto firearms will be facing off against Black Lives Matter and Antifa terrorists who have full auto weapons, upgrades, and suppressors, which allow them to operate more effectively at night as they can pull off assassinations and mass murder of Christians, white people, Trump supporters, conservatives, or whoever else they want to attack. In the night, using suppressors. Now, this next part, I question. It may be true, but I want to believe that. I want to believe this stuff is not really happening, just like you do. I want to think, oh no, no, no. Well, unfortunately, it is, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. So I'm telling you right up front, I question, and they don't offer any proof for this next paragraph here. On top of that, separate intel sources have told Natural News and Black Lives Matter groups are stealing armored personnel carriers from National Guard bases and law enforcement agencies in certain U.S. cities. Quite literally, these armored vehicles are disappearing from the inventory of National Guard bases, and it turns out that anti-American traitors are working from inside the National Guard in liberal states like California to steal these high-end armored vehicles that can be used to rapidly deploy BLM militant troops. Again, I question that. I mean, really? Let's go on, though. A couple more paragraphs. Remember when Obama said that he wanted a civilian army that would be just as strong and powerful as the U.S. military? His loyalists are quite literally building that civilian army, and they're doing it with the help of communist China and traitors inside the National Guard. When the full revolution is ignited, heavily armed leftists who are carrying the very same weapons of war they claim to want banned from civilian ownership will descend on the homes of, and he gives off several of the people. So the point is, the prophecy says, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Well, if that revolution didn't start 6/6 of 2020, based upon several prophecies, it is about to start. And I don't see how it can go past November unless we really get to praying. And as I said yesterday, we really encourage you to go to prophecyclub.com and join the Fast Track team. We fast from midnight Tuesday evening till 4 p.m. on Wednesday. We have the same fast, the same prayer, the same day, and it multiplies our prayers. Well, one can put 10,000 to flight. Two can put 10,000 to flight. So we want to believe that it multiplies our prayers thousands of times over because we are saying the same prayer, same fast, same day. prophecyclub.com, join the Fast Track team. In most cases, the information is coming in so fast, I can't even get it all out. So I'm going to jump back to something that I didn't have time to get to back on July the 7th. This article came out and said new gun owners say they bought firearms because police might not reach them in time. Now, let me also say, I'm not encouraging you to hurt anyone. We are soul winners here. We want to save lives, not take them. But at the same time, we don't want to be killed ourselves either. So the article says new gun owners say they bought firearms because police might not be able to reach them in time. As pockets of anti-enforcement activists demand that jurisdictions strip funding from police departments, ordinary citizens around the country assert that they are resorting to self-defense and are buying weapons. The assertions come amid a nationwide spike in personal weapons sales. In June, the FBI checked the backgrounds of 3.9 million potential gun owners, according to the Bureau. The same month, Americans bought 2.3 million guns in 1 month. The demand has so absolutely exploded beyond anything that we have seen in the last 20 years. No official data can explain the rise. If you walk into a firearms store, they will not ask you the reason for buying a firearm. I saw what happened in Seattle, one of them said, when police couldn't get into the protest zone. Alarmed over violent crimes inside the now dismantled Capitol Hill organized protest zone, I thought, well, what if it happens to here? So I signed up for lessons and I bought a gun. So too did a military veteran who lives in Maryland, where the process to buy a firearm is more cumbersome. I never felt a need to have a weapon until COVID. And then I didn't buy one, said the veteran, who grew up around household weapons in the Midwest. Then the riots hit. The police weren't doing anything about it. The police weren't stopping from breaking in businesses. I figured home break-ins were next. 2 weeks ago, the veteran took a firearms class, the required first step for buying a weapon in Maryland. When the state-mandated waiting period is over, he plans to buy a pistol. Concerned citizens have flocked to gun owners asking for help and advice. I get calls every day from church friends, old friends, asking to go to the range, one pastor said. Now let me jump to May 28 of 2016. Pastor Massey called me one morning. And he said, I had a dream last night. I don't understand the dream. And I said, well, I do, because the night before I had prayed in my prayer closet, and I had said, Lord, appreciate you showing us all these things, but these are kind of bug's eye views. What we need is a bird's eye view. We need an overview of what is coming. So I ask you to show this to either Leslie or Pastor Massey. Sure enough, the next morning he calls. This was the dream, very important. He said the dream opened up and he said we were plowing. Very nice things happening, very good things, like 7 years of plenty. Then the scene changed. We came home. Someone dropped off 2 children at my house. One girl thought that we were the best people to take care of these people. They were scared they would have no food. There was no food where they were living. So the second scene is it goes to difficulty getting food. Then the scene changed again. I was sitting there and someone came to my home to herd these children. They said, let me talk to you. And I said, well, if you want to talk to me, let me get my gun, because I don't want to talk to you without a gun. So I got my gun and loaded it with 3 cartridges and talked with the men. In other words, the third scene is like the Old West. You have to protect yourself. Don't count on 911. Don't count on the police, basically. Then the scene changed. There was a main road in front of my house. I saw like a herd of people walking down this road, so many people like a herd of cows. The sheep or the road was packed. They were close together like sardines. The last scene was I saw that they began to be chopped up. People were being chopped up, like only 1 or 2 out of 1,000. I saw some kind of chopper machine chopping them in half, chopping off their heads. I thought, well, this must be the end time. And only a few people were spared and went into hiding. So let me summarize that. It says that first, there's good things happening. The next thing is food becomes scarce. The third thing is you have to have a gun to keep yourself safe. Then people have to leave America like sardines or like rats leaving a sinking ship. And then there's a lot of people killed, like 1 or 2 out of 1,000 survive. Where do you think we are right now? We've had it very good for these last 3.5 years of Trump. However, it's changing. What the dream is saying is that where we're heading here is no food. No food? Do we have any warnings that there might be difficulty getting food? I read this yesterday, February 26, 2020, Byron Searle, which, by the way, someone told me that's the way you pronounce his name. Skipping down, he says the local National Guard were planning martial law order, advising everyone would have to stay in their homes. He told me that nearly all of the store shelves were empty of food, water, other goods. He said that the people in the stores were acting like crazed, rabid animals, throwing cans of food at each other and stealing each other's carts. I went in, and it was complete chaos, wild fighting, people at the checkout lines yelling and screaming at the cashiers because their debit and their credit cards were not working in the machines and they had no cash. People began to bypass the register and just run out of the stores without paying for the food in their carts. I saw people attacking people who were running out with food. Outside were waiting mobs of people who grabbed and beat the people who were leaving the store with food, taking all of their food, leaving the people injured and lying on the ground. Shelves were emptied in minutes, like a pack of ravenous wolves and frenzied sharks fighting over food. It was unbelievable to watch. Everything in the store was totally destroyed. The doors were pulled off the refrigerators and freezer sections and broken down and thrown on the floor. Shelving units were pushed over and knocked down and broken up. There was no food left anywhere on the shelves. Everything was gone, completely wiped out. People had begun running to the back stock room and they were destroying it back there. The point is what? The point is we can ignore this. We can put our head in the sand, or we can begin to get prepared. All right, now, let me ask you this. What is our real objective? Is our objective to try to live until Jesus returns? Are we going to try to live to the very end? Well, until right now, that's not my objective. My objective is, even as I prayed again last night in my prayer closet, I said, Lord, I want to be an overcomer. I want to be an overcomer. I want to win as many people to your kingdom as is possible. But if you'll allow me, I would consider it a privilege if you would allow me to die glorifying your name. I don't want just a regular death. I want a death that glorifies your name. So, in other words, my objective is not necessarily to try to live a long time. My objective is to build the kingdom of God. So, with that as my objective, all of a sudden that changes a whole lot of our perspectives and really what we're trying to do in life. So my objective is not to try to live a long time. My objective is to try to win a whole lot of souls. But I figure if I'm winning a lot of souls, if I'm doing the Lord's will, then He'll take care of me. He'll take care of my health. He'll take care of my finances. He'll take care of. And at what time He allows me to go home with Him, that's okay, because He'll take care of me there. See, my life is hid in Christ. I'm not trying to live a long time. I'm not trying to, how should you say, survive. Now, yes, I have some potassium iodate pills for when some kind of nuclear event happens. I have some freeze-dried food. I have several different kinds of food actually stored up. I have some preparation, but it is not my objective to try to survive and live a long time. Again, my whole objective is to serve the Lord, to win souls. But I look at it like this. If our heart is to serve the Lord and to put Him first in everything, then He is responsible to take care of us. And that's what He said. Again, I told you night before last, I started to say, well, Lord, I really am, I really do have, and I didn't even get the word scared or feared out until, a big yawn. I was like, wow. It was like, no, do not say that. We can't let fear enter in, because fear is saying we don't trust Him. We don't believe in Him. It's a lack of faith, isn't it? So what we have to do, brothers and sisters, is keep our courage, keep our belief up, keep our faith, not fall down, not get scared, not let fear enter in, and continue to serve Him. Look, if we're serving Him, if we're doing the very best we can to win as many souls, warn as many people we possibly can, then think about it. Then nothing else is going to beat that. And I believe if we take care of God and His kingdom, then He will take care of us and our world. At what time we go home to be with Him, then happy are we. Now, having said that, I do think it is important, as a matter of fact, the Lord told Leslie to tell people to prepare as much as they possibly can, but no one can prepare for every eventuality. If God can cause the ravens to bring meat to Elijah, if He can split the Red Sea so they can walk through on dry land, if He can cause the birds to fall out of the air to feed the children of Israel, water to come out of a solid rock, then He can feed us. He can take care of us. He wants us to have faith, to know that He is going to be there, that He is going to take care of us. But on the other hand, we don't want to test Him. And that's the reason sometimes I do wear those masks out. I don't like to, but I don't want to test Him. I don't want to sit there and say, oh, well, I don't have to worry about that because the Lord's going to protect me. Well, that's the same thing as when Satan said to Jesus, took Him up on a high temple and said, jump down, because it says that He will send His angels to protect you and give charge over you, that you will not dash your foot against the stone. But what did Jesus say? He said, tempt not the Lord thy God. So we shouldn't tempt Him. In other words, we need to prepare, but at the same time, we got to keep our faith in Him and don't fear. So make sure you have a year's worth of food, water filters. Think it through. You can't get out of your house for a year. Can you live within the four walls of your house for a year, and would you be okay? Emergency food is almost sold out everywhere. However, because of our relationship with HeavensHarvest.com, they have made an entire truckload available to Prophecy Club in a few weeks, where others are totally out or waiting for months. They have all sorts of emergency supplies and food at HeavensHarvest.com. Their food comes in square stackable buckets, breakfast, entree, protein, fruits and vegetables. HeavensHarvest.com makes it easy to order. I recommend you have at least 12 months of food for each person in your family. Receive a free box of heirloom seeds when you enter the promo code STAN. That's HeavensHarvest.com, promo code STAN. HeavensHarvest.com, promo code STAN. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins. They can help you roll over your IRA, 401k, so tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust settling on everything around you. Then you breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid and kills you. A simple fix is to immediately take potassium iodate pills, which flood your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult. 10 bottles available for a gift of $225 or $25 per bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life from 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate or freeze it. That's prophecyclub.com, potassium iodate pills. As you know, I make many broadcasts referring to a list of dreams, visions, audible voices I believe are from God, given to Dumitru Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Groover, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and more. Now you can have your very own copy. It's called God's Warnings to America. 1 for 20, 5 for 30, 10 for 55 at prophecyclub.com. God's Warnings to America at prophecyclub.com. In my new book, Miss the Mark, I expose the 9 deceptions the beast will use to deceive, if it were possible, even the very elect. Since Lucifer is only given 3.5 years to rule the world, but given 6,000 years to prepare for it, is it possible he has set up a 9-point plan so well thought out, so cunning, will deceive all whose name is not written in the book of life? What would you do if you had to tell a person the most important thing in the world, but you knew they wouldn't believe you? What would you do? Would you tell them? I believe you would. But what is the most important thing in the world to tell a person? The answer is, don't take the mark of the beast, because those taking the mark do not get soul death, but eternal torment in hell. But how do you tell them? Give them Miss the Mark. It is designed to be given to anyone, even if they've never heard of the Bible, Jesus, even if they're in another religion. It takes them from a blank page to making sure they will never take the mark. It's thin and easy to read. 1 for 20, but don't do that. Instead, we make them available in lots of 10. 10 for 25, 20 for 40, 40 for 60. That's 1 for 20, but don't do that. 10 for 25, 20 for 40, and 40 for 60 at prophecyclub.com. That's Miss the Mark. Don't take the mark of the beast, prophecyclub.com. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation just as a simple project. Surprisingly, I began to receive information on 30 revelations and 2 visions beyond what is found in the Bible. God showed me a secret door, which is based upon a single word found in Revelation and Leviticus, linking the feasts to the prophecies. When linked, a person enters into an understanding of Bible prophecy not previously known. Even though I've been in the world of Bible prophecy for 40 years, frankly, I did not know anything of what is in this book. One prophetic word described it this way: there is a lock that I have put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. It will turn so many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. Topics are: Jesus returns on what feast? The secret of the feasts. Who are the 2 witnesses? What is the morning star? The judgment seat explained. The great white throne explained. The nations explained. What is the shout? And the parables explained. Seals, trumpets, and vials go in what order? 2 amazing prophecy charts on the back flap, 12 inches by 9 inches. Imagine a book on prophecy that brings a fresh, new, accurate perspective. I don't want you to get 1 book for $20. I want you to get 5 books for $30 or 10 for $55. It's called The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, available at prophecyclub.com. The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. 1 for 20. No, don't do that. You want to get 5 for 30 or the best deal, 10 for $55. prophecyclub.com. Each single Prophecy Club DVD is a gift of $30. In that you know the internet is going away one day, it is a good idea to actually have the disc. However, at watchprophecyclub.com, you can have instant access to over 200 titles on a recurring monthly subscription of $20 or yearly for $200 at watchprophecyclub.com. That's $6,000 worth of information at watchprophecyclub.com. That's watchprophecyclub.com. What a deal.
We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.
Click like, share, and subscribe.